Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Marvin Salim. I'm the head of marketing with Beaconhouse International Colleges. Welcome once again to another conversation from Big Podcast. And today we're also again seeing you from Karachi. Today we'll be talking about students in A-level, their concerns, their apprehensions, what are some of the career options that emerge once they graduate from their university degree. Between their career and their A-level, there's a university program that they'll have to go through, and there are multiple choices that are going to come up now. So of course we understand the mindset of an A-level students, and there's so many confusions right now that they will be going through. So this is the reason that we're conducting this podcast, and I'm very, very privileged to be in the presence of Mr. Bilal Kurd, who is considered a legend, a champion in the teaching of business in Karachi, of Cambridge in Karachi. So Bilal, thank you very much for joining us for this podcast.
Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So how is it working out, Bilal? How are things coming up? A-level के exams होने वाले हैं. What do the students say? Are they worried? जिस तरह से हम होते थे, या अभी they are more confident, they're more certain?
Sir, I feel like worried is an understatement.
Okay, all right.
They are panicking.
They are panicking.
They are panicking, but I am actually thrilled to see that they are working throughout that phase, that fear, and they're giving their best, and they're putting in the efforts. And I feel like with the assistance of teachers, because this is a very crucial time, so if they're given assistance by teachers at this particular time, most of them can outperform the exam, not just the exams, but also how they've progressed in the past. So I feel like this is a very tough time for students, but if there is facilitation in terms, not just in terms of academic assistance, but also in terms of emotional support from the teachers, because they look up to them.
Of course.
So I think the students and the teachers can pull through these tough times as well.
Of course. And of course, these tough times are to go very soon, inshallah. But
Very
before
true.
we delve into those questions, ask about your advice for the student and what the students do right and what they don't do as right as we think they should have done. What was your journey like? So, I mean, your O-level, your A-level, your university, I mean, how did everything work out?
So, to be very honest, like during my O-levels, I was not that much into academics. I was more interested in like building myself holistically.
So you were aware of that sort of, personality development.
I was not aware of the reason behind it, like it's going to develop my personality. I just liked it. I just liked it. I just liked being on the stage in the morning assembly programs and taking initiatives in charge debates, elocutions, and like sports a little bit and stuff. So of course my attention span when it came to, because academics is something that pays you in the long term. So I
don't realize that, but yes, it does in the long run, for sure.
So academics was something that I did not as such consider, but then when I came into A-levels, it was very difficult to convince my mother to get me into A-levels because I could not achieve a scholarship. So my mother put a condition on me that if you wish to continue A2 from your college as well, you need to maintain your grades and take your scholarship, because if you do not take any scholarship, I am going to make you private.
Oh God.
So then my focus changed from all the elocutions, all the debates, all the sports, back to academics, because I knew that
What was your combo in A-level? Subject combo?
I was having this commerce, the
business, accounting,
economics. That's it.
Right.
That's it. Nothing else.
Okay. So that was quite a condition that your mother had put on.
Yeah, but I think that was the need of the time, and that was good enough, because it did help me score good grades and achieve a good scholarship program. That was to be continuing in my A2 as well.
Right.
So I think it did pay out in the long term.
Of course. I still think of the same. And my dad, he took a lot of interest in my education when I was in O-level and A-level, and he was also an educationist. So you can understand the pressure.
Of course.
And now I realize if I had not listened to him, the consequences that could have had on me were so I'm so grateful for all that advice and all that pressure that came from the parents, because it did pay me off in the long run.
Absolutely.
So उस वक्त की मार वगैरह I didn't promote that, but I think maybe it was necessary for me. Okay, right. And then your university, you went to.
I enrolled into ACCA.
Sorry.
So I was able to manage like all the papers in my first attempt.
Take.
And in like one of my most like toughest papers, that was like fundamental towards the affiliation of the program, the clearance of the program, P5.
Right.
In 2015, I managed to secure a nationwide position in paper P5 as well.
Right, mashallah.
Yes.
So I should have started with that.
Thank you so much, sir. And then just after ECC, I enrolled into my...
So a note for the audience that all the best people are working with us. Okay.
Thank you.
So that's mashallah. That's quite an achievement then.
Thank you, sir.
And then from the get-go, you had it in mind that you were going to be a teacher.
Yes.
And you didn't want to pursue, a
Nothing
corporate
else.
job because
Nothing else.
multinational is a dream for many.
No, nothing else. I feel like even if you were to work in a multinational, good for the person, or in a company, I feel like the influence and the impact that you can create is relatively limited. But if, let's say, for example, you are into teaching, so you are basically dealing with the audience, the impressionable minds, as we talk about. So they are going to be influenced by your words and your perspectives to a far greater degree as compared to people, let's say, for example, in the corporate sector.
Right. Okay.
So I think like molding those minds and engineering those minds into a progressive development stance is not just fundamental for my own growth, but for the nation's growth as well. So I think teaching is far greater than just imparting knowledge. It's an emotional sport where you can create an impact and an influence.
Yeah.
And I think if you can do that, if you're seeking something larger than yourself, I think it's fulfilling.
I so agree with you on that. I had a discussion with another teacher in Karachi, very famous. I think Faizan, I did it with Faizan yesterday. And we were discussing the same thing, that a teacher today has to be more than, just a teacher. They have to be a mentor.
Absolutely.
They have to be a counselor.
Absolutely.
They have to be a friend. And they have to be a role model as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think there are so many roles that kind of converge into one teacher.
Yes.
Right? Because the student's mind is, as you've mentioned very rightly, is impressionable. You can easily influence them.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you on that. And
thank you.
So Bilal, what about the A-level students of today? So if you were to compare the A-level students of our times and back when, so I did my A-level in 2011, and if we compare the A-level students of 2025 or 26, I mean, what do you think has changed now?
So I think there's a generational shift because I think I also, if I were to recall, I also managed to clear my A-levels in 2011 as well.
Right.
So if I were to compare my batch with the current batch, of course, Millennial and Gen Z.
Yeah.
So this Generational Z and the Generation Alpha that follow, they are pretty much different when it comes to not only learning methods, but also in terms of personalities.
Okay.
So I found those students to be more outspoken, generally.
Yeah.
And also they have access to all sorts of information. So for example, if I were to talk about my time, even if you were to recall your time, I cannot recall that there used to be any camps for mental health. Or
I think mental health wasn't even a topic that was discussed at that time.
Yes, because the terms were unknown. I was 22 years of age when I learned the meaning of mental health or
university.
Yeah, exactly. Pressure or stress or anxiety or all of those things.
That's from a student or a fellow colleague who discussed it, not from a teacher.
Exactly. Yes. But if you were to see this generation, they are already being aware of the terms such as self-love, such as relationship with yourself. And not just this, but of course, since they have access to various sources of information because of the social media influx, so you can see that they are absorbing content. They are exposing themselves to all sorts of content. So I think this generation has a lot of information that needs to be channelized the right way.
Right.
But what we as teachers can improve on, in my perspective, is to find the right way to direct that perspective into where we want the students to be led.
Right, okay.
So since we did not have the same access of information, so we were pretty much dependent upon the educator who was imparting that knowledge. But this generation would listen to you, of course, if you have something to offer that they've not absorbed already.
Yeah.
So there is like a perspective shift. And it's very exciting. This education, this job, this profession, this passion never bores me because it's very exciting to deal with different mindsets every year. So I think there's a huge difference between how we were as students and how the current generation is.
Even if you look at the platforms that we used to scroll on, I think in our time it only used to be Orchid.
Yes.
And then Facebook came, and then Instagram came, Snapchat came before Instagram, I guess. So all these, platforms kind of have become the news outlets for you.
Absolutely.
Students learn from these.
Very insightful. Absolutely.
और उस time पे मुझे ये याद भी है कि there weren't many websites either. So if you were looking for some news, you would have to
search your way.
I don't even recall if there was a Google Scholar at that time or not for a research article or not. But generally, you would refer to newspapers and you would still visit libraries. But now the libraries have gone all online.
Absolutely.
And information is available at the fingertips also.
Yes.
So absolutely, a student learns from a variety of ways now. And so their understanding, or if not understanding, their exposure of the world is more than what ours used to be at that time. So as far as the understanding is concerned, I think you're right. The information has to be channelized into a certain direction, so the results could also be achieved. Because I think when you have more information, and when you so it's all the more easy for you to get scattered as well. So yes, absolutely. And what do you think? What is that one thing that the student of today doesn't do right? What is that one thing that you'd want them to change?
I feel like they should have a better perspective on how education, the entire program, is likely to help them become what they want to become in the future. So rather than being forced to study, they should look at the bigger picture. Right. Because education is an activity that is satisfying or that pays out very well in the long term. In the short term, you cannot expect much rewards. Rather than getting good marks on an assessment or a test, that would be your validation that you're doing good. As opposed to playing a video game or watching a reel, you get instant gratifications. So I feel like this generations need to involve itself into activities, not just education, into activities that provide benefit for the long term. Sports,
right,
education, learning new languages, rather than just involving themselves into activities such as excessive social media use. They should involve themselves into activities that pay out in the long term, so that longevity, so that fulfillment, so that they can have a good balance between all those things. So yes, they are very well aware with respect to mental health. Yes, they are very well aware with respect to relationship with self. But they should also have an outlooking perspective, a futuristic perspective, that where they would want to be in the future and the activities that are likely to help them achieve that transition. So that is what I believe. That's one thing that if they could improve, perhaps of course with the right mentorship, it could turn out great for them.
That's where mentorship comes in.
Oh, absolutely.
Because generally the tendency and the pressure, as we've discussed in the beginning as well, for an A-level student, I think this goes into their mind that they have to come up with the best grades. You just cannot think of anything that comes under A star, right? So what do you think that, what does that pressure do to them? Or do you think that they still feel that pressurized of scoring those high grades?
I think that is a very good question, sir. Thank you so much. I think most of the students can benefit a lot from the discussion that we are currently having and we are going to have. If we were to talk about the principle of grades, I think, Salamar, this particular notion of pushing students towards grades has done its damage and still is. Like, for example, if I were to recall, if I was in my O-levels, I would want grades not because it was something I wanted, because I was pressured or pushed, because if you don't get good grades, you won't get scholarship. So in AS, I had to get good grades. Why? So that I can continue my scholarship in A2. After A2, I needed good grades in order to get into my desired university. And when once at university, the cycle does not end. I have to maintain a GPA in order to maintain my scholarship. And then after my, let's say for example, university, I go and work into a firm, and all of a sudden I realize that in the pursuit of all this, I did not develop any interpersonal skills. I did not develop how to deal with rejections. I did not develop stress management techniques. Because of the fact that we push students so much towards achieving good grades, students find themselves in a rat race. So what is happening is, I term this concept known as societal boxes. By the age of 19, you should be done with A-levels. By the age of 23, you should be done with university. By the age of, let's say 27, you should start on with the new chapter of life. Let's say, for example, if that's marriage. And if you do not fit into one of these boxes, you're a misfit. So we criticize and frown upon people who take a gap year just because they are not progressing in life as how we want them to progress in life. So everyone has a different, I believe everyone has a different timeline.
Okay.
Time is a social construct. So if for example we all are involved in a rat race and we all are running, so let's say for example we all are running and it's the prize are the grades, and we develop this mindset into students where they become competitive and they start comparing themselves. So if a student has straight B's but he does not have straight A's, he will not feel any pride in his straight B's. Why? Because they are not straight A's. And there is when comparison comes and robs you of joy.
Yeah.
So what I like to impart to my students is, let's, for example, we all are running in the same race.
Yeah.
And let's say you are next to me and you are running at a very fast pace, and I'm walking. So in normal circumstances, I would be consumed with the thought, oh, I'm doing, I'm not doing that good. And he is running, so he is going to reach there first and stuff. But then I bring myself to one realization. And that is, in this race, there is no finish line.
Yeah. So it's just going to go on and on.
So even
there is always going to be someone doing better than you.
And even if you were to, let's say for example, the person next to me is running, तो अगर वो भाग भी रहा है तो वो भाग रहा है अपनी मंजिल की तरफ और मैं चल रहा हूँ अपनी मंजिल की तरफ. मेरी मंजिल मुख्तलिफ है. आपकी रफ्तार से मैं मुतासिर नहीं होगा या मेरा जो हौसला है अपनी मंजिल को हासिल करने में वो मुतासिर नहीं होगा और ना ही आपके साथ होगा. तो आई शुड नॉट बी कंसर्न्ड विद एनीवन एल्स. सो आई थिंक द प्रेशर टू achieve good grades and good grades, it's actually, as actually harmful for the development of the personality as well, because you actually start to consider academics as a burden. You are involved into studying, but I think more than studying, we need to focus on learning. Learning is what you are going to take in life, not those books. I don't remember the periodic table, no, but I remember how the way the teacher related that to my life. So that is what, if students feel encouraged to learn, they are going to learn. If they are pressured, because all students do not fall into the same mindset, they cannot rote learn stuff. And I've seen many students, if they are being pressured into achieving good grades, they're going to literally rote learn content just to reproduce it onto the exam paper, and after the exam they're going to forget most probably everything. I don't think there's any point of cramming yourself with education if you cannot apply in your daily life. If you cannot improve your life, what's the point?
Exactly. और मेरा ख्याल है उसकी बहुत बड़ी रीजन ये है कि your sense of self-worth
absolutely
is so attached to this
absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes.
Because you compare, because आपने अपना उसका सारा merge ही कर दिया है grades के साथ, so then you will definitely fall into comparison.
बिल्कुल.
And there's no other, and there, as I've mentioned, there's always going to be someone who's doing well, better than you in a certain segment of your life.
Perfectly put. बिल्कुल.
So if your sense of self-worth is attached to that particular segment, तो फिर तो of course it's going to be a very difficult journey for anyone.
बिल्कुल.
But so Bilal, now talking about the university options. So what do you think, and what have you seen in your very vast experience of teaching? Once students graduate with their A-level, and with this particular combo of business, economics, accounting, or commerce, or so what are some of the career options that emerge? What are some of the academic options that emerge? University options for their undergraduate education.
I think, sir, if they were to stay here in Pakistan or Karachi, so they're of course going to opt for BBA. They might, even if, let's say for example, accounting is their stronger suit, they might go for certifications such as chartered accountancy or ACC as well.
Right.
And likewise, if, let's say for example, they are more into business and economics, they can even go for bachelor's in economics and maths. That's also a program. Bachelor's in accountancy management and law, bachelor's in accounting and finance, or bachelor's in business administration as well. So there are the various options that we have. And some of the students, they have like a combination of business and economics and psychology or sociology. So they have social sciences or bachelor's in psychology as well. So they can tie up pretty much with psychology, goes well with business as well. So these are the different options. And now it's up to them if they're living here or if they're moving abroad, if they're going abroad for their undergrads. But these are, of course, the programs would expand if they were to tap into the world or outside of their physical boundaries. But in Karachi particularly, if I were to focus on Karachi, I think these are pretty much the options.
Right. And I'm sure you would have come across many students who would want to go outside Pakistan, but not everybody can, for some reasons they stay here for, and I'm sure in your very vast experience, you would have come across students who would want to travel outside Pakistan, pursue their bachelor's outside. But some of those students, for various reasons, cannot do that. So what would be your suggestion to them? Because international degree, international university, some certification from that university is, it holds a lot of significance still for Pakistani people.
I think, sir, rather than completely moving for 3 years to account for accommodation, to account for transport, food, of course that would add up a lot of cost as well. So there are other opportunities for the students as well, such as universities that offer exchange programs, or they offer a 2+1 program.
Yeah, 2+1 is
in their undergraduate. So that is, I think, a very good option for students. And if there was to be more awareness about these programs, I think it's especially beneficial for those students who have a lot of potential, maybe relatively, let's say for example, lacking in other things, or maybe difficult to logistically, go there. So for 2+1 programs, I think that can be a very good benefit.
Absolutely. And this is where Beaconhouse International College comes in as well. So what we have done is that we have formed partnerships with the University of Essex, University of Kent, University of London, Liverpool John Moores University. And with some of these universities, our arrangement is that you can do 1 or 2 years with us, enroll in a university program with them. It could be BS Artificial Intelligence, BSc Accounting and Finance, or BBA, or maybe LLB as well. So just do your 2 years with us. You are a student of theirs, but you are pursuing your degree program here, and then for the third year you travel outside, you go to the parent campus, you spend a year over there, and then you can also apply for a post-study work visa post completion of your degree program, and then your journey in the UK can start as well. So this is also a route that we generally try and apprise students of if they want to pursue. And if you don't want to go outside and still want an international degree, you can do all your 3 years here too.
Yes.
And in my understanding, and we've been drawing some comparisons as well, it's also quite cost effective too.
Yes.
In terms of tuition and what you would have paid. As you've mentioned, so there's added cost of staying over there, living expenses, transportation, air travel, visa. So there's that too. Okay, so Bilal, what in your opinion are some of the career options that are now emerging for students who are done with their, once they're done with their bachelor's? And they pursued their business, economics, commerce, accounting, whatever in their A-level. So what are the major career options do you think that, what are the career options that emerge?
I think, sir, after the influx of AI, there has been a huge shift towards IT being blended into commerce.
IT being blended into commerce.
Yes. So it's if they're offering you bachelor's in business administration, so it's 2/3 of it, if it may contain bachelor's in business administration, 1/3 would be strong IT courses, digital marketing, or whatever your majors is based on. If it's finance, there would be financial modeling. Some of the IT courses that are very important to you, being abreast of all the recent developments and innovations. So I think there are different fields that are emerging. Artificial intelligence, as you mentioned, bachelor's in artificial intelligence, commerce degrees being paired, double majors being offered, the business management, entrepreneurship. So that is, I think there are a lot of options if the students were to, of course, seek such good opportunities such as Beaconhouse International College is offering. So I think there are different career options, and the students of now can benefit quite much from enrolling into such programs, because they're learning multiple skills. Pehle, you had to do business administration first, then kuch time baad you had to learn IT or AI ya jo bhi, aur phir uske baad it was sequential. Now it's simultaneous.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
So is tarah se.
So everything converges.
Yes.
Now. Everything has to go hand in hand now. Right. Actually, so you talk about the AI as something is going to come out, but uske baad sequential bhi nahi, balki simultaneously happening. So do you think that in A-level, Cambridge has changed their course to factor in the new developments, the IT developments, the AI-related developments taking into place? I distinctly remember in my A-levels books, हमारे पास फिनका की एग्जांपल होती थी फॉर माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग, क्रिस्टियानो रोनाल्डो की एग्जांपल होती थी बुक के अंदर फॉर इन्फ्लुएंसर ब्रांडिंग एंड ऑल. Do you think the AI related curriculum has been induced into business, A-level business by then?
Absolutely, sir.
As it has?
Yes.
That's
like in every chapter, such as we have 4 different units: marketing, finance, HR, operations, all the different departments, along with one extra unit. So every particular unit, sir, has AI inclusion. How do we incorporate AI into marketing?
Right.
AI into finance, AI into HR,
wow,
and AI into operations.
Achha.
And not just that, but not just AI. The syllabus content is being abreast and is being updated because we have themes more strongly focused now in the exams as well, such as sustainability.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Such as corporate social responsibility. Such as diversity and equality policy.
DI. Yes. Absolutely.
So basically, the syllabus content is covering the themes.
Yeah.
And it's being updated. Right. We had an update in 2023. We are yet to have an update in, I think, 2026 as well.
Right.
So I think, yes, changes are being incorporated.
Periodically done. The changes are introduced.
Yes.
Right. Because I think that's very important for the students to be aware of.
Absolutely.
I remember we used to see a lot of video on, I'm not going to name the city or the province or all, but we used to see a lot of videos on 1960s or 70s or 80s curriculum still being taught at some of these schools. And that's not going to cut the deal for Pakistani students anymore, because when they go outside, I mean, it's the differences are quite visible there.
Yes.
So yes. And one final advice from you, Bilal. What are you going to encourage your students on to be doing? I mean, should they just be focusing on jobs, like we have seen, like students generally would go for multinational jobs, or would they, or would you encourage them to go and explore entrepreneurship?
I think, sir, I cannot put this into just one single advice. Okay. I think they should educate themselves on one important principle, and that is the notion of multiple intelligences. So if I am not good at maths, if I do not clear a test of a university that has English and math only, it does not mean that I am not an intelligent person. Because intelligence does not only need to be logical and mathematical. Musical intelligence is something else. As I mentioned before, people who have rich musical intelligence will turn out to be great artists, will turn out to be great musicians, will turn out to be people who are multilingual or bilingual, because language also has an expression of music. So that is one intelligence. Then there's another intelligence, interpersonal intelligence. How much are you self-aware? Interpersonal, interpersonal, spatial. How do you organize things? The high sense of organizing. So there are multiple intelligences. The students, I believe, are to first find out their stronger suit. So you may be more intelligent in a certain intelligence and less intelligent in something else. Yes, it does not qualify an opinion.
And now it's an established fact that everyone has, there are 16 different intelligences.
Yes, exactly. So basically, first the students need to understand what's their stronger suit. Then they need to understand what's the route that they are going to take in order to furnish or in order to develop or capitalize those skills. So if I have a musical intelligence, my stronger skills, or if I have an interpersonal intelligence, my stronger skills will be connection building. My stronger skills will be public speaking. My stronger skills will be confidence. So it would be better off for me to choose a profession that is in line with something I do naturally.
Doing.
Yes, and that would be something I would envision myself to be doing for the next 20-30 years. So even if it's entrepreneurship, good for you if you have the relevant intelligences. Or if it's you want to work for something, you want to, let's say, work for a firm or a company or whatever you want, or you want to do it your own thing, I believe the students first need to educate themselves about themselves. Because it is
self-awareness.
Yes, it is a dilemma, sir, to be very honest, but this is all over. Things are changing now, of course. But all through the student lives, if I were to consider myself a student as well, we are taught principles of trade, we are taught principles of medicine, we are taught principles of commerce. But somehow, in this entire pursuit of teaching so much information, we forget to teach the most important subject to the students, and that subject is left onto the students, that life will teach you this, and that is the subject of relationship management. तो जब इंसान जब ऑफिस में जाता, आप चाहे ऑफिस में जाएं, काम करें, चाहे आप खुद अपना बिजनेस करें, you cannot work without people. You cannot work without people. And to have a team of people who would support you, or how to manage your relationships with people at work, with people at home, and the relationship with self as well.
Yeah.
So I believe that if students were to develop more awareness about themselves, about their strengths and weaknesses, about their skills, about their boundaries, about learning about themselves emotionally, learning about themselves physically, socially, then they will be able to capitalize on the relevant intelligence that they have, and that would inshallah work out for them in the future as well. So that is my advice. Learn about yourself, develop a good relationship, a healthy relationship with yourself. Even if you were to fail, it would not mean anything if you get up again and try again.
Yeah.
ठीक है, तो कोई मसले की बात नहीं अगर आप किसी और से अच्छा नहीं करें, कोई बात नहीं. आप ये देखिए आप कल जिस तरह कर रहे थे कि आप उससे बेहतर करें या नहीं करें. That is the only person you need to compare yourself with. And I think since this is the only life that a person is going to get, make the most of it. Make the most of it. So that is like my advice, a heartfelt advice. जो मैं खुद भी अपने ऊपर अमल करना चाह रहा हूँ.
I love it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Honestly, I was going through a book. I mean, you might have heard of the book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Dr. Yuval Harari. So he was discussing algorithms and how they're controlling our lives, that they're going to increase their control over us. And also that we don't know much about us, algorithms do, right? And he said if you still want to maintain some control over your life, you will have to learn faster about yourself.
Beautiful.
And learn quicker.
Beautiful.
Right? Before the algorithms get to you.
Beautiful.
Right. So, and of course, there goes a lot into that. If you want to.
We can have another podcast on
it. We
it.
can definitely have another podcast on self-awareness and all.
Yes, yes.
Bilal, thank you very much for
thank
such
you so much,
excellent
sir.
advice. For
thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure being here.
The pleasure is actually all mine because I love the conversation.
Sir, same here, mutual feelings. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.